What's up, guys? Kevin Allen here, aka the Geek from DFS Army, and this is your Fanduel NFL Week 13 first look. All right, it's Week 13, and we're taking the first look at the Fanduel salaries and pricing system for the week. We've got a bunch of games of interest this week. Without rehashing them all, as I already did that on the DraftKings first look, went through every game, but a couple of ones that really stand out. Chargers at the Raiders, 50-plus point total on that one. KC at Cincinnati, another potential explosion spot. Then, of course, Jacksonville at Detroit. Those are the three games that have 50-plus total. So a bit of a change this week off of what we've seen in the past few weeks, where there's been kind of no games that really stood out all that much or had 50-plus point totals. This week, we have three and a couple other games that kind of hold some sneaky, curious interest. I'd say Jets at Minnesota. The Jets side of it, really, really interesting. I think all the Jets players are underpriced relative to their role with an actual semi-competent quarterback at the helm. They're kind of priced for a, horrible quarterback. So this is an improvement. And also Tennessee at Philadelphia, a little bit of an eyebrow raise for me, as well as Miami at San Francisco has some potential. But let's get right into the player pool and see what the salaries look like on FanDuel this week. And starting at the top here, Mahomes 9K seems like the best play on the slate. It's really interesting at 9K, and he's about 27. Man, it's hard to see him not hitting 3X this salary in this type of spot. So I really like Mahomes here at 9K. Obviously, he's the most expensive guy, so let's not go crazy, but I definitely like that. Jalen Hurts, 157-ish yards rushing last week. Should do a lot more of the same. It's a really good spot for Hurts, although, again, really close in price to Mahomes. Burrow's the other side of that KC game. I probably like him less than Mahomes for a similar price. I feel like if Burrow's going off and Cincinnati's going off, Mahomes is going off more. It's just probably how it will go, because Cincinnati does have a running back that can steal some of the scoring, where KC probably has less of that. Even though they have a running back, less of it. Lamar, no interest. Herbert, interesting spot here at Las Vegas. Definitely in the mix for me this week. Deshaun Watson, priced a little too high for that game environment. Gino also 7,600, just I do like Trevor Lawrence here up against the Lions, 7,500. That's enough savings off of Mahomes to kind of make it worth consideration. Lions just produce high scores for their opponents, and I already kind of like Christian Kirk and a couple of the pieces from this game that are stackable. Plus, the Jaguars lost their running back. Maybe I don't know. ETN might be out. I don't know, but he at least got knocked out of last week's game, so they're less likely to lean heavy on the running back position this week. Cousins, no. Carr, no. Jones, no. Rodgers probably says he's going to be playing in this one, so that's a little bit of a surprise. I don't think I want to go there, but even at 7,100, but it's interesting to note that he's playing in Chicago is, probably, if not the worst, one of the worst defenses right now in the league. The offense is pretty bad too, though, so I'm a little worried that the Packers will be able to just lean on the run here and kind of not have to do too much and lean on the defense. I do want to mention Mike White, 6,900. Absolutely like this play. Mike White, man, he's got that swagger. 6,900. He will be in my mix this week. It's a really cheap stack with White to Garrett. I can't remember names anymore, but really cheap stacks on the Jets here. Trying to see if there's any other cheaper quarterbacks that I might even look at. So no, cheapest, I'm going to call it the cheapest viable, Mike White at 6,900. You've got Trevor Lawrence here at 7,500 in a pretty good spot. And then, of course, the stud zone here with Mahomes, Burrow, and Herbert. And that, I think, is kind of what the QB position is going to look like for me this week. And, of course, Hurts in some sort of GPP only spot. And I would almost say I do like this price point on Tua as well here, 7,800. I think Tua can do enough even at San Francisco. So a few interesting spots here. Let's plug in Trevor Lawrence to this one. I'm kind of interested to see how the salaries go. Man, I'd love to play Mahomes and just go with the most expensive. But the first look, we don't have to do that. We went with Mike White on DraftKings, so I'll go Trevor Lawrence here as my pick, but mostly this is about talking about the plays that look really, really good this week. Okay, so next up, we've got the running back position, and Lulu priced way up there in the ultimate matchup is Nick Chubb, 9,600, 32nd ranked Houston run defense. It just seems like the Browns will come in and just run it down the throat of this Texans team. So I don't hate this play at all. I think Chubb is live for 2 touchdowns in this game, maybe 3. Maybe 3. Is that enough to pay off 9,600? Let's see, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. You're talking 10 and 6, 12, 22-ish fantasy points, 9, 18, 27. So, yeah, I mean, we need the third touchdown probably, or 150 yards or the third touchdown. But Chubb could definitely get there. He will need at least 2. Same with Josh Jacobs. He does a little bit more in the past, but that's not as relevant here on FanDuel. So he pretty much needs 2 touchdowns, maybe 3 in this game to get us there. So let's keep an eye on him. Very expensive running back. Eckler, great spot. Love him as well. Derrick Henry, also a good matchup. I don't know how often Tennessee will be scoring. I kind of have a feeling that game will be a little lower scoring than people think. Barkley, I don't like at this price. Joe Mixon, yeah, we can go right back to him. Joe Mixon off the concussion. Concussion means nothing. When you come back, that Q tag is gone. You're fully healthy. You get your full workload. I do have some concerns that they would appreciate Samaje Perine kind of performance the last couple of weeks and give him a few more snaps than usual, just because he played well. And that happened the last time Joe Mixon was out and came back from injury. And then all of a sudden, Samaje Perine is being used a little bit more. So we'll keep an eye on that situation. These are all really expensive plays, though. FanDuel is not screwing around when it comes to pricing players up. Christian McCaffrey here all the way down at 8,200 is interesting. Now, the knee issue aside, with Elijah Mitchell out, Christian McCaffrey is now Christian McCaffrey, a running back on a team that wants to run. I'm interested here. I'm ignoring this Q tag for now. It's early in the week. We'll see if that's a real thing or not. But for now, I'm really interested in Christian McCaffrey here on FanDuel for this kind of price point. Kenny Walker, not the best matchup in the world. Rams are good versus the run, but the flip side is the Rams offense is shit right now. So I expect Seattle to have plenty of scoring opportunities and maybe just run it down the Rams' throats. Rams kind of quitting at this point late in the season. Their season's done. Backup quarterbacks, the starting quarterback is done. I think we'll start to see the Rams quit and their defense really take a shit as well. If the team quit, the defense takes a shit. I don't know. I tried. That's my Johnny Cochran. Dalvin Cook at the Jets, 7,600. Meh. Right. Jets defense is pretty good against running backs. It's an okay play, but not something I want to get crazy with. Aaron Jones at 7,400. I do like him here at Chicago, especially if Aaron Rodgers plays. I think that Green Bay will have plenty of scoring opportunities. Aaron Jones doesn't get the full workload, so that's never great, but I expect he will be involved enough to be relevant at 7,400. Najee Harris probably doesn't play. Miles Sanders, that's a tough matchup for Sanders, not going there. Pirine, no. Pacheco, that's a little expensive for Pacheco. Man, his prices are crazy. $7K for Pacheco. Ugh. Even in the ultimate smash spot last week, 22 carries, 1 target, 15 fantasy points. Maybe Montgomery, not a good spot for him. The only good thing about Montgomery is he'll get all of the carries for his team. Again, they'll load up on him, but not the best of situations. There isn't a whole lot of bargain to be had at running back this week for the most part. Here's Dameon Pierce down at 6,500. Again, tough matchup in terms of his team being an underdog, but at the very least, Cleveland's really bad against running backs. They did kind of phase him out of the game last week, so I'm worried about that. I don't know what happened with Brian Robinson last week. I want to compare him to Gibson. Robinson got 18 carries. Gibson got 9 carries, 3 targets. So I don't know. That team's backfield seems to shift back and forth. It seems dangerous. I'm not going there with Robinson, but I just was curious why last week he did so well relative to most weeks. Here's DeAndre Swift all the way down to 6,400. And I got to say, I'm a little bit interested in him here on FanDuel for this price. DeAndre Swift is just not getting a ton of volume. I get it. Everybody gets it. but he is a big playmaker, and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks continue to pass since his injury. And I just think they got to use him a little bit more each week, just kind of get him more involved in this offense. So I could see Swift kind of popping off here. Not a safe play, but I could see it. Lats Murray, meh. James Robinson, meh. Right. James Robinson was a healthy scratch for the Jets last year. They elevated a practice squad running back above him. And I actually think that running back, Knight, may be the starter. I think he will be the prime guy. They really like what he saw. He looked really good. He looked the part out there. Knight, I went back and watched all the tape of that game just to really reiterate it. But Zonovan Knight looked really, really good at running back for the Jets last week. And that is where I'm going here as a salary-saving RB2 spot in this lineup. Zonovan Knight. A couple other running backs that are noteworthy or at least mentionable here. Kareem Hunt, it could be such a good spot for Cleveland that Kareem Hunt finally has a decent game. He hasn't had one pretty much all season. Looks like one game here we got some carries. Maybe Chubb got hurt that game. I don't know. But outside of that, it's been nothing. Darrell Henderson might step in and start for the injured Travis Etienne. Maybe. I don't know. 5,500. Let's listen and see what we can hear or glean this week about that running back situation for Jacksonville. It could also be, some combination of some of their current guys. They have a couple of Jermichael Hasty types there as well. So we'll see about that. Is there any other running backs of interest down here? Nope. That is it for the running back position. So a lot of good running backs at good spots, but really priced high. Of course I want to use Chubb. Of course I want to use Jacobs. Of course I want to use Eckler. Of course I want to use Henry, but they're all priced up. Even Mixon is interesting, but they're all really expensive. So if we can get to them, great. But if not, I think even a Zonovan and a Christian McCaffrey will work. So we'll just leave them in there for this early week build. Let's take a look at the tight end position. Obviously, there are some great tight ends on this slate, starting with Travis Kelce. And on Fanduel, I really do like to get to these pay up tight ends if I can. So I'd love to play Travis Kelce in my lineup. He's usually good for a solid, 22 to 24 fantasy points. Here he's averaging 18.3 Fanduel points per game. So he's right up there in average, and that's the guy that you want to play and pay up for. Mark Andrews, not the best of matchups, but he can do it at any time. Hawkinson getting lots of targets. I'm interested in him as well at 6,400. Is it enough savings off of Kelce? I don't know, but the Jets can cover outside wide receivers really well. So I do think that will funnel targets to Hawkinson in this one. George Kittle in play as well here against Miami. I think this game is going to potentially be one of those times when they have to throw more and be a little bit more high scoring. Let's see who else here. Yeah, at the very, very cheap levels here, we've got Tyler Conklin at 5K. Mildly interesting. Hayden Hurst at 5,300 as well. Will be on my tight end radar this week. And that's about it for the tight end position. I would like to plug in Travis Kelce. Let's see how that looks. And again, part of this is if you're going to play Kelce, you need something like this at running back too. So you got to take your shot with a cheapie at running back if you're going to play an $8,400 tight end. So a lot of the build, that's kind of how it's going to go. It's just like, hey, we got to make a choice. We either pay up for this luxury tight end, or we can take a 5K guy and pay and get a luxury running back. You can't have it all. Now, the running back situation, the defense situation, I like to start at the bottom and just look for the cheapest viable defense of the week. And I'm definitely not playing anybody against the Chiefs. I'm not playing a defense against the Chargers. Chicago Bears, no. If I thought it was the backup for Green Bay, then maybe. But here, no, it looks like Rodgers will play. So that is a no. Raiders, no. Titans, no. Rams, no. Remember, Rams, quitting time. Lions, no. Houston, no. It's getting crazy. Miami, no. Denver, no. KC, no. Jacksonville, no. Atlanta, gross. Jets, no. Giants, no. Oh, my God. FanDuel, what are you doing? What are you doing? FanDuel really gets the salaries right for these defenses, man. They are really good. It's super predictive. So we should really just be paying up on FanDuel unless some weird shit happens during the week. But the best defense, so let's just go to the best ones. Seattle, the Rams. Rams stink. Green Bay at Chicago, yes. Browns at Houston, sure. So I'm going to go here. We're going to pay up on defense or just punt it, take the 0, or pay up for one of these. You can play Minnesota as well. Eagles, not really. Packers, yes. Just going to go Packers here. And that's because that Chicago quarterback situation, if it's not Fields, is going to be really, really disgusting. Fields might end up playing and negate this, but it's Tuesday. I don't know. I assume he's not playing. If it's going to be Simeon or even worse, Peterman, those guys were trash. And Simeon looked horrible last week. So let me just go with Packers. Now, it's an unfortunate being forced to pay up here because now we only have 63.50 left. I mean, this is rough, right? You got to pay up. So let's take a look at the wide receiver position and see if we can find any kind of bargain plays that allow us to pay up for some studs. All right, so starting at the top, Tyreek Hill, always a good play. Jamar Chase, stacked with Burrow. Jefferson, sure, why not? In a game built around that one, although Jefferson's matchup, not great. I definitely like Devontae Adams. I would like to try to get him in my lineup this week. I think everybody's going to play Josh Jacobs, which opens things up for Devontae at lower ownership. You pretty much always want one of Jacobs or Devontae in your lineup. That offense is really concentrated on those two guys. They both tend to pop off, one or the other, sometimes both. But last week we saw when Jacobs sucks up too much of the scoring, Adams didn't get much of it. It could go vice versa. Adams has the big game, and then Jacobs kind of disappoints. But those two are pretty much this entire offense, and I like this game environment. T. Higgins, again, a stack with Burrow piece. Brown, more of a Hurts piece. I do like Amon-Ra as a standalone play. I really would like to get him in lineups too, but it's really interesting. Amon-Ra priced right up there with Devontae Adams. What the fuck? I'd rather play Adams over Amon-Ra given the choice. Jalen Waddle down here, also stacked with Tua. Cooper, no. Keenan Allen, too expensive. DK Metcalf. Christian Kirk, playable here at 7,500, but probably only in stacks with his quarterback. I wouldn't want to play Christian Kirk at 7,500 as a standalone play. It's a little expensive for what he does. Lockett, no. Sutton, no. Mike Williams, no. Schuster, too expensive at 6,900. Terry McLaurin. Now, remember, we want touchdown scorers on FanDuel. That's the ultimate. We need touchdowns. So kind of like, I don't hate Deebo Samuel at 6,800. His salary keeps coming down. I would like to know more about his health condition. He was kind of looking gimpy out there last week, but I think that San Francisco is going to have to throw a little bit in this game. So we're going to keep him in mind. George Pickens, also touchdown scorer. Great matchup. It's not a ton of volume there. Garrett Wilson priced up. Oh, my goodness. Here we go. Josh Palmer, 6,600. I don't mind this if Mike Williams is out. It's too early in the week to know if Mike Williams will be out. So that's challenging. But I'm going to plug in Christian Watson here. With Aaron Rodgers back and playing for the Packers, and it's such an easy matchup against the Bears, I think Christian Watson could get himself a touchdown in this game. So we'll plug him in to one of these spots. I still have to look for really bigger bargain plays at this position group right now. FanDuel's making it very tough to put a proper lineup together. I am, even with Zonovan 5,800 night, man, we have to be down in this 6K or less zone for the wide receiver group, and that is feeling kind of gross. So let's scroll down a little bit and see if anybody pops in the bargain basement, in Filene's basement. Remember Filene's basement? All crap. I mean, the best one is probably Sky Moore here at 5K. He's getting just as many targets as any of these wide receivers on the Chiefs. 6 targets last week. He's kind of starting as the WR3, and I like him. And I like paying down for him. There's really nothing going on down here below that zone. So I actually think that what I'm seeing here is we need to actually save more in order to make a proper lineup. It's going to be really tough to use Travis Kelce and have a decent lineup. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch it up and go to the ultra cheap tight end in Tyler Conklin. That opens us up to what looks a little bit better here, 7,400 salary remaining per spot. Got some other tricks that I think we can use here to save a little bit more salary. Again, McLaurin, not a great spot there. I don't hate Deebo Samuel, so I'm going to pop him in over here at 6,800. I don't like him on DraftKings, where his price is a little too high and the role isn't voluminous enough for me. But on FanDuel, I'm looking for touchdown scores, and Deebo Samuel has been a touchdown scorer. So I think we can go with Deebo. I like Garrett Wilson as well. I want to mention that in the spot. He's just getting all the targets for the Jets. So I don't want to go two Jets players, though. We already have Conklin in there. How much do we have left? 77.5. So let's go and use my boy Amon-Ra and see if we can squeeze it. Actually, I think we go with Devontae Adams. Since this lineup doesn't have Josh Jacobs in it, we can go Devontae Adams with that spot. Gets us a piece of that Vegas offense. I always want a piece of the Vegas offense. And for the flex, we've got 6,900 left. And we really need to find a cheaper defense than this. You know, saving on the defense would really make all the difference. I can't get to anybody. I got nothing. Nothing left. Nothing left. So what do we do here? Aaron Jones, right? Christian Kirk. Aaron Jones. So if I want to get Aaron Jones in there, we're going to be a little too expensive, and we're going to have to punt defense just a little bit. Steelers and Atlanta. You know what? I'll take that. So Steelers can get to the quarterback. I will take that. So a little lesson from this one. I didn't even get Christian Kirk in this lineup. So this really doesn't really work as a stack, actually, as I'm looking at. I'd much rather, can we get to Christian Kirk here? At least stack our quarterback with someone. Can't even. So let's see here. Can I make a few little adjustments? Kind of want to have at least some level of a stack with the quarterback because I played them. But what I'm seeing here this week is that salaries are going to be challenging on FanDuel. They did not really bring the pricing to a level where you have, we're going to have to either find some bargain basement running backs. I mean, do we want to mess with Benny Snell? 4,700. There you go. So maybe somebody like Benny Snell filling in for Harris might be the play here this week. It's a really good matchup. That might be it. What if we plug now? Benny Snell splitting with the other Anthony McFarland or the other rookie, so he's not getting all the touches. But at 4,700, do we care? I mean, if you put Benny, so I just want to mention Benny Snell here because if we did that, 2K left, now I can sort of put another stud in the lineup. So another potential way to go here if we want to go down to Benny Snell and kind of build a correlated lineup here. But I'd love to get Amon-Ra in a lineup like this as well. Just a lot of pieces. So if I went to Amon-Ra, built more of a correlated stack here. So here is a version of this lineup where you got Lawrence to Kirk to Amon-Ra. Correlation in there. Tyler Conklin, and then leaves us 7,300 for the last spot, which I think we should find a reasonable player hanging out in this. There's nothing. There's no reasonable player hanging out at 7,400. That's annoying. Yeah, we'll plug in Deebo over here. And in this one, we can actually go back up and play a little bit more and get back to Green Bay. So there we go. Anyway, that's our FanDuel Week 13 first look. And as you can see, it's going to be really, really challenging with the salaries this week to put together lineups that look really, really good. I had to use Zonovan Knight in this one. There's a version with Benny Snell in there. There's not a whole lot of bargains early in the week. So that creates tighter, it creates a trickier build, but it also creates opportunity. So let's see how it goes over the course of the week. Good luck this week, everyone. We will be back, of course, with the game plan, the betting shows, the tournament tactics, everybody's favorite tournament show on Friday, and of course the showdown breakdown on Wednesday afternoon. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Who are you building your FanDuel lineups around this week? What quarterback wide receiver combination are you building around this week? Let us know in the comment section, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.